Back here in the big tent, I'm going to have you introduce yourself, sir.
Joshua Boger. I'm chairman of the biotechnology industry organization called BIO.
Let's start just from the beginning. What is BIO and what do you do?
Well, BIO is a trade organization that represents over 1,200 other organizations. About 700 or more of those are companies, also academic organizations, and the unifying principle of BIO is that we're using biotechnology for healthcare problems, for food problems, for energy problems, for environment problems. So companies and nonprofits that are involved in that band together for common dialogue and understanding in BIO.
Why come to the big tent and why come talk to bloggers today?
Well, I mean, that's where the action is. So,
sorry, did you hear that?
Yeah. So we're as an organization, we're the entrepreneurial, innovative side of all of those topics I just talked about: healthcare, energy, food, environment, and entrepreneurs are interested in information. They're interested in having a dialogue. We have companies working on all kinds of interesting problems, and they're all interested in points of view, of society at large. And as I say, the blogosphere is where the action is for dialogue.
And hopefully hearing that discussion going both ways, I know is something that we've been talking about a lot. Now when you hear about big firms, big companies, big corporations making big scary things, you're usually the first ones we go after.
Yeah.
I know, I would think in your realm we'd be talking about genetically modified foods, things of that nature. That's the kind of stuff we target a lot, so I give you credit for coming out.
Well, it's not so hard. I think behind some of those stories of big corporations, up to no good, there are actually a lot of very dedicated people who are actually trying to understand some of the criticisms, trying to understand how they can use their insights into technology advances for the common good. I've been in I come from the healthcare side, and I've been in the healthcare industry for about 30 years, and I've yet to meet an evil person, actually.
Good to know.
Almost everybody is in there for the common good.
Tell us about some of those common good things that you are working on. I know you're doing some things in the medical field.
Absolutely. I mean, the number of chronic diseases that we all suffer from as a society that actually are the drivers of healthcare costs. If we could bring Alzheimer's disease under control, or diabetes under control, or have even better advances in cancer, that would generate enormous economic activity, enormous benefit that could benefit other problems in other areas. That's an area that the genetic revolution has opened up as a possibility, and many of our companies are pursuing those kinds of advances.
And it doesn't stop in the medical community. You're also looking into the alternative energy, alternative fuels community as well.
Absolutely. The biotechnology industry, there are many companies and other organizations working on biofuels, both, I would say, the first generation biofuels that derive from corn and other related crops, and then I would argue the second generation biofuels that are based upon the kind of waste products of
those are the ones I'm interested in.
Yeah, well,
that's a lot of potential.
Very exciting, and there's a lot of dynamic movement internationally and in the United States in that direction, and many of our companies are involved driving that revolution.
So what do you hope to accomplish by being out here at the DNC?
Well, I mean, listening is one thing. So
to hear.
Yeah, so I'm here representing the industry. I also run a pharmaceutical company that's very innovative as well. So I'm listening both from my day job running the company and the chairmanship of BIO, listening to what are the issues, what is the worry and fear around some of the things we're doing. How can we address that? So I would start from listening, and then to the extent that I get in conversations where some of the facts that I know to be true can come into a conversation, I can also have a dialogue in that direction as well.
I know one of the things when I hear pharmaceutical company, I immediately kind of...
I know, yeah, exactly.
Not the pharmaceutical company's great, now I got to yell at him.
Right.
But what are you guys working on to make not just the brand pharmaceutical company seen a little better, but also just so my parents have an easier job buying their prescriptions, and we're all having a hard time with the pharmaceutical companies. What are you guys doing on your end that maybe we don't hear about?
Well, inside the inside position that I have, and again, 30 years in the industry, is very dedicated people trying to actually make the kind of breakthroughs for the next 30 years that we take for granted today.
It's more in the research and development.
Yeah, control. We take for granted that more or less, if you have high blood pressure, there's more or less something for it.
Very true.
That was not true 30 years ago, and maybe we could put Alzheimer's disease into the same category 30 years from now, or 20 years from now, or maybe even 10 years from now.
That'd be wonderful.
And so there's a lot of people trying to do that. Now, having said that, the folks in the industry know that we're in the middle of a society that has immediate problems as well. And everybody that I talk to, everybody that I know in the R&D side and in the commercial side, believes that none of that will be good unless we can actually participate in the solutions to access. Because if we come up with a great Alzheimer's treatment and nobody can access it because it's unaffordable, what do we waste our lives doing? That wouldn't be good. So you'd be surprised at how personally, intensively, the people that are trying to come up with those new Alzheimer's treatments actually think about the issues of access. How are we going to afford that? How are we going to afford the medicines that we have today? How are we going to afford the ones in the future? That's a conversation that I think people will be surprised that at least the folks that I talk to on the innovative side of the industry would be happy to have. We can't solve it alone. It's not our problem to solve access, but we are part of the society that has to solve that problem.
I'm glad to hear that you all are talking about it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.